What's up guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel once again. My name is Dash Lifestyle. Kindly for watching me for the first time, remember to subscribe, like, share and also comment. To my returning subscriber, thank you so much for always coming back and watching my video. Thank you so much for the love and support, and greetings to my brothers and sisters all the way from Caribbean country. So guys, in today's video, I want us to watch this video from one of our African leader. He goes by the name Professor P Lumumba. Professor P Lumumba is also known for fighting for the rights of the black people. Also, he also known for uniting the black people in the Caribbean, the black people in America, the black Americans. P Lumumba is also known for uniting all black people. P Lumumba, he has come out and sent a warning message to those leaders, to the African leaders, to the Caribbean leaders who are becoming puppet, to the African leaders who are betraying the black people, and also he's calling the Caribbean leaders to stop being puppet from the colonizers, to stop selling out the country, and also to start working to the will of the people. The reasons to why I usually share this video with my brothers and sisters from Caribbean, with the black Americans, is to tell them exactly what it is happening here in Africa. And also, I don't want them to be left behind, because we as African, we are uniting. And also, African revolution, it has started. So it is the right time for us black people to come and unite. So kindly guys, watch this video, then I'll be back with more comment.
We'll elect our governors. We'll have our ministers. That will happen, but they are not bothered. After we have elected them, you'll then see them sending their arrows ahead. You'll see Bill Gates come and meet your president. You'll see Tony Blair come and meet your president. You'll see Macron come and meet your president. You'll see all of them. And then they will never admit, but they'll be told, if you want money in agriculture, behave this way. If you want money in this area, behave this way. They will never tell that to the Chinese. They will never tell that to the Indians. They will never tell that to the Vietnamese. They will never tell that to the Koreans, but in Africa, they tell us. That is why, as I speak to you now, under this new scramble, the IMF and the World Bank are back, telling you who to hire in your universities, what to sell and what not to sell. It is a sad situation. So today, as I look at Africa in that new scramble, the Chinese are here. I hope that this institution was not built by the Chinese. The Turks are here. The British are here. The French are here. The Qataris are here. The Americans are here. This time round, they are so subtle that we don't even recognize them, but they control us. What are we going to do about it in order to develop? We must do something. And if we don't do that thing else, you who have been trained in this institution, you have traveled the world. You have traveled Nigeria. There are two things that you can do with your traveling. You can marvel. Says it is great in China. You can marvel. You can wonder or feel pain. I'm urging you to feel pain. To feel pain for the continent of Africa, and in your own way, when you go out there, go and do something about it, because it has also been demonstrated that it can be done. I've traveled across this continent and I've seen that development is possible. I was in Rwanda before 1994. I was in Rwanda in 1996. Genocide. 1 million dead. Its obituary written will never rise, they said. You go to Rwanda now. They are demonstrating that it can be done. Go to Kigali now. See what they are doing in the health sector in their own small way. See how they are collaborating in the area of mobile telephony in their own small way. It can be done. I've been to Botswana and I've seen what they are doing in their own small way. I've been to Mauritius, see what they are doing in their own small way. And they do not have the resources that other countries have. They do not have the resources that the Democratic Republic of Congo has. And I'm giving these examples to say that indeed it can be done, and it can be done within the continent of Africa. So what we must do is to begin to pull together, you know. As I've been sitting and listening, I was also struggling to have internet in this room. And every effort was being made to connect me to internet. And all those efforts failed. Why? Because we are in an era of the Internet of Things. We are in an era of nanotechnology. It cannot be right that in Africa's largest economy, in Nigeria, I do not have internet at an institution that deals with security. You get the point that I'm trying to make? It cannot be right. And I know why we don't have internet connectivity. It is because we are divided. We have 55 telephone access codes. Nigeria 234, Ghana 233, Kenya 254, Tanzania 255, Uganda 256, Zambia 260, Zimbabwe 263. How can we, in this day and age, you cross into Benin, you cross into Togo, you cross into Guinea-Bissau, you have a different internet connectivity. Why can't Africa have a single satellite and a single telephone code, so that when I travel from Mogadishu in Somalia to Dhaka in Senegal, like the Chinese do, like the Americans do, like the Indians do, we can have the same, because communication is critical to development. And I'm saying this, part of my agenda is to prick your conscience with live examples, that you may go out there irritated, but irritated to do the right thing. And I'm suggesting that indeed, when we talk about development, this is what we must do. But is Africa conscious of her state? Yes, Africa is conscious. This is what makes me happy. That after all these analysis, it appears to me that Africans have now recognized that going forward, we can only defeat the conspiracies, we can only have development as we are talking about it by working as a team. And that is why, beyond the Millennium Development Goals, beyond the Sustainable Development Goals, we as Africans under the aegis of the African Union do now have our grand vision of Africa Agenda 2063. And that Africa Agenda 2063, let me tell you, if we can fulfill it, many of you here will be upstairs by the year 2063. But our contribution, perhaps you do not know what I mean upstairs, not up. You will be with the Lord himself. But the most important thing is that Africans are now beginning to see beyond the next election. Because part of our problem in Africa has been that we plan in 5-year circles. We don't have a grand agenda, but now we have a grand agenda. And if you look at the 7 pillars of Africa Agenda 2063, everything is covered. Health is covered. Research and science is covered. Climate change is covered. Women's participation is covered. Democracy and governance is covered. The arts and the culture are covered so that Africa can become a serious player in the international agenda. As we speak now, we are not a serious player. You know, and I say this perhaps too often, but I must repeat it because it is important. I was looking at the GDP of Indonesia. The GDP of Indonesia this year, by the end of this year, will be 1.1 trillion United States dollars. Indonesia is the 17th largest economy in the world using all critical indices. It's amongst the G20. The population is about 200 million, just about Nigeria. Nigeria is a GDP give and take at the very best of 550 billion United States dollars. I'm looking at the power generation in Nigeria. At the very best, you generate about 17,000 megawatts. You lose about half of it, so that what goes into the grid is no more than 8,000 to 7,500 megawatts into your GDP. You are the biggest economy in the world. If you look at Iran, Iran generates 75,000 megawatts. So when we talk about industrialization, we are not even close to industrialization. Look at the diversity of power generation that you have. Most of it is hydro. You are not harnessing your solar. The Kainji dams and the other dams with climate change are going to dry. If you look at the major rivers, it means that you are going to be in trouble. You look at Zimbabwe now, for example, in power generation, 2,000 or give it 2,500 megawatts. The dams are drying, the Kariba is drying. So Africa must begin to think, even as we think of Africa Agenda 2063, because energy is the game changer. Without energy, all these generators you see everywhere in Nigeria must disappear for industrialization to come. And in many African countries, including my own country, Kenya, which generates, I think we have about slightly under 3,000 megawatts. You can't. You can't. So we must go to Inga Dam. We must begin to generate. We must go to Egypt at the Aswan High. Egypt is not doing very badly. We must go to Inga, produce 40,000 megawatts. We must go to Ethiopia, the Grand Renaissance Dam, produce 10,000 megawatts. Then we talk of industrialization. And why do I talk about industrialization? There are scientists here. It is only through industrialization that we are going to be manufacturers in all sectors. As it is now, 80% of what we consume in manufactured goods are from China. If China closes shop, we are dead. We are dead. So I'm thinking that Africa Agenda 2063 is a good thing, but we must work at it. I'm thinking that Africa Continental Free Trade Area is a good thing, launched with the Secretariat in Accra, Ghana, a good thing. But how are we going to trade? How are we going to get somebody to drive a truck from Accra, Ghana to Juba or to Asmara in Eritrea without peace and security? So you can also see that peace and security is at the very heart of it. In the United States of America, and many of you are familiar, you can drive a truck from Florida through to Alberta in Canada, and it is safe. The roads are good, the security is there. I'm saying, therefore, that as we talk about development, we must think about development in a very comprehensive manner. We must ask ourselves how we govern. And I want to conclude my presentation to you by telling you that Africa must be very careful. We must be very careful because of lack of resources in Africa. I'm beginning to hear things that worry me. And because I'm a keen student of what is happening in Africa, I'm getting worried on a daily basis. the forces that divide us, the belief by many people in Africa that if we separated from our current countries, we would be better. It is beginning to happen. It is happening here in Nigeria. It is happening. I saw a letter last week addressed to the president of Zambia by a people in Zambia called Baroseland. And they are telling President Hakainde Hichilema that you remember in 1964 we had an agreement with the Lusaka government that the time has now come for Baroseland to become an independent country. Can you believe it? I hear people in Namibia saying, do you remember that there was a strip called the Caprivi Strip? I hear people in Ghana saying that you remember that in the Volta region we had a different country. I hear people in Zimbabwe saying that there should be a country called Mtuakazi. I hear people in South Africa, the South Africans, say that we should have a separate country in the Western Cape. I hear people in Ethiopia saying we should have Tigray and Oromo. The centrifugal forces are there. And the only way to bring them in is to create a sense of belongingness. The people must feel that they are part of it. I remember the words of John Garang of South Sudan when he spoke in Khartoum. He told the Numeri government, we do not want to create a separate state, but make unity attractive. Make unity attractive, make Sudan attractive, make Khartoum attractive, because if you don't make it attractive, we will separate, and that will make us weaker. And I'm saying this because of this thing we call democracy. Democracy demands that people have a sense of belonging and that they believe that the country in which they live represents their interests and that deliberate efforts are being made in that regard. So, fellow Africans, I'm one who believes that this continent has a contribution to make. There is not a continent today that has the natural resources that this continent has. Not one. There is not a continent today that has a population as young as ours, which could be a resource. There is not a continent. There is not a continent today that has the resources in different diverse ways which can be harnessed. With a population of 1.4 billion, we are a potential market. But we must also warn ourselves. I am aware that you are talking about climate change. It is only through unity, therefore, that we can fight all these. Our rivers are drying. Lake Chad has shrunk by nearly 1/3. The rivers are drying. The climate is changing. The Sahara is coming down south. The rivers down are drying or getting polluted. Our farms are not yielding the way they were yielding before. Our seeds are being destroyed. Our young men and women are running away. And remember, the Germans are now saying, we want young people. The Canadians are saying, we want young people. We are in danger. You who have been trained in this institution, now go back to your countries and tell your countries that yes, there is a conspiracy against the continent of Africa, but the human relationship, is it not about conspiracy? Even in families, are there not conspiracies? Is it not our duty to fight and defeat those conspiracies so that that is no longer an excuse? Go out there and say that we have the possibilities and that these possibilities require and demand that we look at Africa as a total whole. Go out there in your little ways and make your contribution. The 78 of you who are graduating here today, I'm suggesting to you that development must start with you. Go back and let in every institution where you are, let it be said that since he came back from NISS, he or she is different. He is different in a positive way. And all of us who are here, whether we are politicians or academics and in different sectors, let us go out there having made a solemn vow that Africa must do it. If you can't do it for yourself, ask yourself which Nigeria you want to bequeath to your children and your children's children. You are here, maximum 40 years, you will have gone upstairs. But after 40 years, in which kind of country will you want your children to be? This is the question. It is not about you and me. It is about them. This is intergenerational. Africa must change. Africa can change. And it can only change if we change our minds. And our minds we must change. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
So guys, I hope you have watched that video from our professor. He goes by name Professor P Lumumba. Majority of you, I know you know Professor P Lumumba. He is known for fighting for the rights of the black people, and also he is fighting for the African country, to the black people to come and unite. And also he's calling the puppet leaders, the African leaders, the Caribbean leaders, to stop being puppets, to work according to the will of the people. So guys, I just want to highlight some of the things that our professor, he has come out and mentioned. He has come out and said, why do we still have the military bases of the colonizers here in our country? You can go to the Caribbean, in Jamaica, we will find that we have the USA military bases in Jamaica. When you come here in Africa, you might find that we have also military bases here, the US military bases here in Africa. Why do these people still have their military bases here in our African country? Majority of the black nation, they still have their military bases. But you can see for us, black people, we are not allowed to have our military bases in their own country. You cannot find African military bases in United States. You cannot find Caribbean, Jamaican military bases in their country. So why are they still have these military bases? Are they protecting us, or are they protecting their own people who are here in Africa or in the Caribbean? Also, our African leaders should come together and urge these people to remove their military bases in our African country, because we all know that colonization, it has ended. And for us Africans, we want also our military to take over our country. We want our military to be in charge of our country. We don't want others' military bases in our country, because I know that the ones who they are using their military to turn our government into puppet, and this is the reasons to why this Professor P Lumumba, he has come out and called these USA military bases out of our African country. And also our professor, he has come out and say, why did these people came and divide our African? Why are we still using the same different network? You can, if you want to give a call to the people of Nigeria, you might use their code. If you want to give a call from the people here in Kenya, you will use the code +254. In Uganda, you will use the code +255, so that you can be able to communicate. Why is it when you want to call someone here in Africa, you will use different code? It is now the right time for us African leaders to stop being divided by this communication system that these people they brought here in Africa. We want Africa to have one satellite, so that we can be able to communicate with each and everybody who was here in Africa. The reasons to why these people they made African to be with a different connectivity, to be with a different network, is because these people they don't want us to unite. They don't want us people to talk to each other, because they know when we will communicating easily with our brothers and sisters here in Africa, it will be very easy also for us Africa to unite. And these are some of the reasons to why they don't want to give us one call. But you can see in their country, they are communicating each and every time. They are using just one code to communicate with their brothers and sisters in their own country. But here in Africa, they have made us not to be united. And also, these people, they are the ones who came here in Africa. They divided our African country. After dividing this African country, they made us choose our leaders. And because of us African people choosing different leaders here in Africa, it has become so very difficult for us to unite. But you can see in their country, in the US, they are having one president who is leading majority of the majority of their big country. But here in Africa, they have divided our country. And also these people, the reasons to why they don't want to live here Africa, it is because they depend so much in Africa. Our professor, he has come out and say, these people, it will be becoming very difficult for them to leave Africa because they are depending in Africa. They know Africa, it is rich. They know they cannot do it without Africa. And also, not Africa, also in the Caribbean, these people, they don't want to leave Caribbean people. The black countries in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, they are still running some, they are still the head of the Jamaicans. You can see the Jamaicans, they are not yet free because of these people. They are still in their land. They are still milking Jamaicans. They are still taking Jamaican taxpayer back in their own country. These are the things that these people, they are doing. They are coming here in Africa, in the Caribbean. They are turning our African leaders to be puppet. Our African leaders, they are being given a lot of money so that they can sell our minerals, our precious thing to them. And also, after selling this thing, our African leaders, who they are greedy, after selling this thing to them, they are going with this thing to their museum. They are keeping this thing in their museum, and also they are advertising for us black people so that when we can go in their own country, we will pay to see our treasures thing that they stole for us. This should stop. These are the same reasons to why I keep on always telling it is now the right time for black people to unite. These people, they only control Africa. These people, they cannot control Chinese. They cannot control Asian. You know the reasons to why they cannot control Asians or Chinese? Why are they still want to control Africa? Why are they want Africa so mad? Because they know they cannot do it without Africa. And also, it is now the right time for us African people to chase them. I really love what it is happening in Burkina Faso. I really love what Ibrahim Traoré is doing. I think we as black people, we as African people, we need to make Ibrahim Traoré to become our African president because of how he's trying so hard to fight these people and chasing them away in Burkina Faso. All these leaders, African leaders, they should follow the footsteps of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré. And for me, guys, I really love Jamaicans so much, because Jamaicans, they're the ones who were calling first Africans to unite. See at the songs, I've heard so many songs of Bob Marley. Bob Marley, he was fighting the black people in the Caribbean to return here home. But before them returning home, he was asking for us African people to unite. He was saying, African unite. They want to get out of Babylon to come here in Africa. But before they came, they want to see us uniting. And these are the reasons to why majority of black people in the Caribbean, the black Americans, they are still not yet come here in Africa, because they have seen that Africans, we are not unite. They are seeing our African people, our African leaders, they are being turning into puppet. They are seeing how Africans leaders, they are selling out our country to them. This is the reasons to why they have not yet come back in Africa. But we as African people, we need to unite so that our brothers and sisters can come back here in Africa. We should follow what Bob Marley was saying. We should follow the teachings of Marcus Garvey so that our brothers and sisters can come back here in Africa. When they are coming here in Africa, they will find African, it is stable. Africa, it is in good shape. Africa, it is developing, so that we will be able to conquer these people. I know these people, they took our brothers and sisters far away from here in Africa. because they didn't want them to unite with us. And also they have tried so much to paint African image very bad to our brothers and sisters who are in the Caribbean, the black Americans. They have shown them bad image about Africa, and also that it is also another reasons to why they have not yet come back here in Africa, because they believe what they have been shown with the white people, with the colonizers about Africa. So our professor here, P Lumumba, I really love him so much, because he keeps on telling the people the truth. He keeps on questioning those leaders who are becoming puppet. He keeps on questioning the leaders who are selling out the country. He has talked about Nigeria. Why is it Nigeria they cannot produce a good electricity and they're the most developed country? Why you think is the reason? The reason it is because of their leaders. Their leaders, they are selling out their country. Their leaders are being controlled with these colonizers, with these white people, so that they cannot do the right thing which needs supposed to be done in Nigeria. The same way what it is happening in South Africa. Right now, South Africa, they are considering themselves that they are not part of Africa. They are embracing so much the colonizers. They want to be removed here in Africa so that they cannot be one of the African country. And Nelson Mandela was fighting so hard. He was fighting for South Africans so hard. Right now, they are now getting back to the colonizers. Do you think Nelson Mandela is happy where he is? He's not very happy because he was jailed. He went through a lot to fight for the South Africans, but South Africa right now they are betraying Nelson Mandela. These are some of the things that we as African people we need to stop. We need to stop being controlled. I know when African country it has some disaster, it has something bad going on, these are the first people who are coming here in Africa with food. When we have during the corona period, we saw what happened in Jamaica. We saw what happened in Africa. These people that they are the first people who were coming in some of the African country, donating food, donating they are donating clothes, food. Also in the Jamaica, they were given money, food, clothes, and after that, they are going and teach their children what they have been doing in Africa or what they have been doing in the Caribbean. These are some of the things that they are telling their children. And up to date, when you are going to United States, when you see their children, they cannot respect a black man because of what they have been taught by their white people, by their fathers, by their teachers about the black people, how they conquered black people, how they are treating black people. So kindly guys, I don't want to talk too much. I want this video to go viral, and also if you are watching from Caribbean, the black Americans, you need to share this video to know what it is happening. I keep on telling you that Africa revolution, it has started. African people are uniting. Some of the African countries, they are removing the corrupt leaders, the puppet leaders. We are all removing them. We want to see African becoming one. We want to see African becoming borderless, so that our brothers and sisters who are in the Caribbean, in America, they can be safe coming here in Africa. They need no visas to come here in Africa. When they are visiting here in Africa, they will go to all African countries without using passport. They will be we want to see them communicating with all African people. We're using one phone call, using one line. That's the Africa that I want. I want to see African using one currency. That it is now Africa I want. Kindly guys, subscribe if you haven't, like, share and comment. See you on my next one. Bye bye.